Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, September 15th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will be moving around and changing, and then the candlestick you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, ticker symbol AMTD, and very, very impressive late day movement. You can see that basically all afternoon long, volume has remained strong, and as I speak right now, you can see the last 30 minutes, this candle really trying to come back to life again, which is, like I said, why I like to do these when the market's still open. So a couple of key dynamics here moving forward. First off, from a support standpoint, the main level to watch moving forward, in my mind, is going to be right there at about $1.80, which is essentially looking to be the bottom part of this consolidation, which I'll change that to green to represent more so the bullish dynamic. And then along with that, we have this resistance trend line right there, which, value puts a breakout right around, let's just call it the 205 mark. And then if I turn this into an overall pattern, so let me make this all the same color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the momentum move right here. And then if I put a golf hole down here to make it a little bit more visual, this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. And while nothing is guaranteed in the markets, is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price can come up here and get a break to the upside of the pattern, that break right there in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible outcome. Once more, not guaranteed, but that's a rational way to look at it. So if you like to play breakouts, you can keep an eye on that level. If you like to play more so pullbacks, then you have this $1.80 mark, or maybe you want to use the pink line down there, which represents the very famous 200 period moving average, currently valued at $1.71. But all in all, no doubt about it, nice movement, nice volume. So let's see if the price can indeed get a break back up through that upside of the pattern. Next one here, ticker symbol KERN, and this one is a relatively ugly looking chart, but there can be opportunity in the ugly, and it's really just a question of, do you still believe in the overall move? Because yes, there is a downtrend here, but before the downtrend, there was actually a really big upwards move, and what I just drew there is a bull flag pattern. Now, just because something's bullish does not mean that the price is for sure going to turn around. But like I said, there is an angle to it where it's rational to think that, okay, maybe this is just still a healthy pullback. And these are situations where you definitely have to be very good with the risk management. You don't want to turn into somebody that's a bag holder. But it would not be irrational of you to think that the price could come down here to 14 cents and then potentially get a bounce for a couple of reasons. First off, this was a former area of resistance, and there's a basic rule in charting which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, they tend to act as support. And then the next being, well, the purple line just happens to be right at that area too, the 50 period moving average at 14 cents. So I want to reiterate, and I'll probably continue to say this, but there are no guarantees. But is it plausible? Is it rational on your part to think that if this pullback gets a little bit uglier, comes down here, that it could get some sort of bounce? Absolutely. And from a risk reward standpoint, what would be in risk compared to what the upside potential reward could be is definitely going to be in your favor. But once more, that does assume that you're operating under a strategy that has risk management and that you're going to be disciplined within the strategy itself. So if you like to play these pullbacks, if you like to play penny stocks, here you go. Next one, ticker symbol ALT, which had quite the crazy day, especially when you consider that started off the day with the gap down, dropped all the way there, and then essentially spent the rest of the day working its way higher and higher, which prompts a very valid question. Is this bounce the start of something bigger? Is there genuine power behind it? And I have no idea, but by using charts, we can make answering that question quite straightforward. And in my mind, it all revolves around this area here at $13.50. Why is that level helpful? Well, let's just say that the price comes down here, behaves like that, and then turns its way back upwards. Well, a movement with genuine power is not going to go straight up because nothing can go straight up, but it is going to at least show signs of progress, which prompts the question, well, how are you defining signs of progress? And that's $13.50, because even if the price goes on here, that would be a low right there where you compare to that low. And if you envision those as stair-steps, well, there you go. You have progress being made in the upwards direction. Whereas on the flip side, and again, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but for explanation's sake, if the price comes down here, breaks down through there, well, what do you all of a sudden have? You essentially have the price having gone right back to where it was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements with genuine power are not going to go back to where they were. And that's where $13.50 is very, very helpful. So is this the start of a bigger move? Is there genuine power behind it? Let's just see if the price can show progress. And again, progress being defined as $13.50. In terms of levels of resistance, main level to watch moving forward going to be right up there around $16.50. But yeah, all in all, no doubt about it. Impressive bounce. Let's see if this bounce can continue over the next couple of days. Next one here, BIAF, and I should have put this after KERN because same general premise here. Very rough looking chart, ugly looking chart, but as I mentioned earlier, there can be opportunity in the ugly. And it really just is the base around the premise of, okay, does this thing want to close the gap and then get some sort of bounce from that area? And given how ugly it is, it does seem very possible that this thing could come down to that 425 mark, close that gap. And while nothing is guaranteed, as I've said, it does make rational sense. In other words, nobody could accuse you of saying 425. What are you, just throwing darts? That doesn't make any sense. No, it does make sense. It is the gap close location, and gap closes can tend to produce areas of a bounce. So once more, assuming you're operating under the premise of disciplined, having risk management, then from a risk reward standpoint, you can structure yourself a very, advantageous trade plan. Because if it comes down here and doesn't bounce, okay, you're taking the small loss. But if you do get some sort of bounce, or better yet, a reversal, well, then relative to what was being risked, you could be looking at a very nice potential upside reward. Now, the only difference here is that this one's not a penny stock. So if you do like to play these, sorts of strategies, but don't like penny stocks, then this one gives you an opportunity to potentially take part in one of these sorts of situations. Next one, AMC, and this is exactly why I like to do these when the market's still open. Check out the last 30 minutes here. Nice green candle, volume is increasing, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from yesterday, but it's also breaking above this area of resistance that really has been a very big annoyance. Going back to yesterday, you can see several times there, struggled with it right there during the last 30 minutes yesterday, and then of course this morning, gap down, bounced up, had a problem with it right there, came back down. But then the last 30 minutes, you can see the price is now up above it, which brings about a more than valid question. Is this the start of something even bigger? Now think about that question. In order to even ask that question, something needs to first happen in the first place. If nothing happens, then it makes zero sense to say, oh, wow, is this the start of something bigger? But something actually here has happened. So, maybe it's not. To be fair, maybe this thing just rolls right back over. That's possible. But it is a two-sided coin because, well, maybe it is the start of something bigger, and this breakout keeps ripping and roaring over the next few days. And that's the whole idea of a watch list, to find unique, to find interesting situations, not randomly rush out and buy something, but to watch it, to see how it behaves and see if it behaves in a way that fits your strategy. So if you like to play breakouts that maybe are just getting started, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. Next key area of resistance up here. Extend that line out up around the 1050 mark. But yeah, no doubt about it. Big volume last 30 minutes, broke the resistance. So is the breakout the start of something much bigger? Let's see what happens. Real quickly, wanted to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen, you want to learn more about this tool of charts, how they can and should be used to build consistency, and why, quite frankly, they're just so powerful at it, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more, certainly get signed up for the free class. Next one here, SPRC, and I apologize. I could have done this watch list a little bit better because we have, once again, one of those setups where, yeah, it had a nice move. Yeah, right now it's looking very, very ugly, but it is a big pullback here, approaching a very interesting level. And as I speak right now, it continues to pull back, but that interesting level being right down here at 87 cents for two reasons. First off, you have the 50-period moving average, that purple line, and then you have the pink line, the 200-period moving average, also valued at 87 cents. And then the third reason being this former breakout point, which you now know breakout areas tend to act as support, is also right down there around that general area. So once more, is it guaranteed to bounce from there? Absolutely not. But could somebody accuse you of just throwing a dart and picking some sort of random entry point? Absolutely not. There's a lot of logic that goes behind this, especially if you're playing the premise of, yeah, things are getting really ugly, but sometimes it's ugly when nobody thinks it can get worse. That's the point where it starts to bounce around. And from a risk-reward standpoint, this is definitely a scenario where you could structure yourself a good, solid trade plan. So I don't want to keep repeating myself. You understand what I'm getting across here. But yeah, this one, definitely a very interesting level, right down around that 85 to 87 cent mark. Next one here, TMBR. I like this one as it's got a couple of very well-defined levels. First well-defined level, right here at this area of support. You can see several times the price has come down to that area and found support. So again, let me change that to green to represent support. But I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 6, 7. So many times right down around that area. So if you like to play more pullbacks and trying to play bounces off supports, there is quite the track record of that area and trend line providing support. As far as areas of resistance and breakouts, If you're somebody that likes to play more so breakouts, does seem to be a pretty well-defined area right up there around the 16-cent mark. So you want to keep a close eye on that. But overall, like I said, from as far as penny stocks in very well-defined levels, and of course with penny stocks, you always got to be worried about liquidity and volume, and this one did have a lot of volume today on it. So if you like to play this price range and like to play, charts with well-defined levels, this is definitely worth at least keeping an eye on. Next one, ATXI, and I completely butchered the watch list because once again, I realize a lot of these setups are the same, but that's just sometimes how the market works. Is a lot of the setups just based on the environment are going to produce the same sorts of setups. But yeah, I do apologize. I could be saying the same thing. So you get it. Nice move up, pull back here, and not just a question of can this thing potentially find a nice little bounce point, then work its way up. And the only difference here is this one's actually already at the former breakout point, which is right there. And example here being classic example of this resistance. Now, for the time being, holding that support, you're getting some nice little lower shadows right around there. So the question becomes moving forward is this thing going to get a bounce? Now, think about once more that question. Something worthwhile needs to happen in order for that question to even be asked. And something worthwhile has happened. It's pulled back. It's gone down to that previous breakout point. And most importantly, it's shown that it wants to behave as support. Now, does it continue to act as support? Nobody knows that. But as of right now, you do have a lot of evidence that, and once more, nobody could accuse you of saying, you know what? I think the price may be wanting to bottom out here. I think this thing's getting ready to turn around. It may not, but again, by no means is that some sort of irrational thought process on your part. So this one, I suppose, is a little bit different to defend myself, I guess, a bit in the sense of this one has already hit the level of support and now it's behaving as a support. So now it's just a question of, is this thing going to actually get the bounce on Thursday? So we'll see what happens with it. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and this will mean a bit more to those that watched the video from yesterday, but talked about that trend line right there and talked about how just even yesterday, Tesla was pretty strong, all things considered, and that today, even if it was just a decent day, you got to think that it was going to make a move. And yeah, that's exactly what happened here. Price came up here. So congratulations to anybody that watched that video and bought that trend line break, because you got yourself a very nice move there. And then the price pulled back. But overall, fantastic day. And now we have a level that everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching. So by no means is this some sort of great discovery. By no means am I trying to impress you and imply that me drawing this line here at 305.50 is some sort of great thing. I assure you a lot of people are watching that. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same level, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can produce some very dynamic movement. So while no guarantees, it is completely plausible to think that if the price can get up to 305.50 and get the break up through it, that break in and of itself could very well lead to that much more buying pressure, because you're going to have a bunch of breakout players saying, hey, I'm a breakout player. Hey, Tesla's breaking out. Oh, hey, I'm supposed to buy. And you could get a lot of that action right there. So 305 is certainly a very watched level moving forward, just because it's got the track record of being a very stubborn level, including today. So keep an eye on that. If you like to play more so pullbacks, then an interesting pullback level here on Tesla going to be right down there around the 296 mark. But overall, very, very interesting day. Good, solid last 30 minutes. So let's see if that can carry the price up there to that 305.50 mark and get the break. Next one, NIO, and overall, a little surprised by it, because I thought today, any sort of strength at all within the markets would get this thing going. And it started with the gap down, and it came up, and this will mean a bit more to those that watched the video from yesterday. I put that trend line in place. And you can see that trend line is apparently going to be more stubborn than what maybe I thought it would be. But the good news with that is it's now going to just bring with it that much more of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I assure you there's going to be that many more people now that have taken notice of that trend line. So we're going to have the same idea that we just talked about with Tesla. A lot of people watching it. So guaranteed, no, but plausible to think that the price goes up to that trend line and then breaks through it, that break in and of itself could create some good solid upside buying pressure. That's certainly a valid scenario to play through your mind. As far as areas of support are concerned, still have this level right here at 2150. And then if 2150 does not hold, you still have that moving average right there, the 50-period moving average. But in my opinion, at least, not that I think playing pullbacks on this one doesn't make any sense, but I think the most interesting dynamic by far is all about that trend line and whether or not the price can get the break up through it. So if you're a breakout player and you like to play those sorts of scenarios, in my mind, at least this one makes a lot of sense to keep an eye on. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, real quick, if you enjoyed what you saw here, then certainly get signed up for the free class. It'll be very soon, Thursday, September 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, please do two things for me. If you enjoy, hit the like button and leave a basic comment. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching tomorrow, or leave me a request for tomorrow's video, and maybe I can squeeze that in. But doing those two things communicate to me that you enjoy. As long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to put in the required time and effort to get this content out to you. So again, get signed up for the class. Hit that like like button, leave a simple comment down below. Everybody, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one.